Okay, so I have a question, right? We have $120 is increased by 20%, right? And then it is decreased by 10%. Okay? What is the final amount? Okay?
Yeah.
So I actually just want to talk about the aspect of this question that's sort of the most interesting. I'm not actually going to calculate the final answer, but I want to talk about sort of the wording of the question, okay? So, and it can be interpreted many different ways, okay? But I think in the end, there's one way that might be sort of more favored over the others, even though, you know, there are arguments for why one you can interpret it a different way. So if you increase $120 by 20%, okay?
Yeah.
And then you decrease it by 10%. That could, so the question is it 20% of what, right? 10% of what? And so naturally, I guess you would increase the $120 by 20% of 120.
Yeah.
Okay? But then once you've done that, you could decrease it by 10% sort of 120, or you could decrease it by 10% of the new amount that you got after you increased it by 20%.
Yeah.
Okay? And so if you did it one way, okay, so if it just decreased by 10% of the original 120, then you would just then increasing 20% and then decreasing 10% will be just the same as increasing by 10%. Okay? But often that's considered wrong in this kind of question. Okay? Even though it's sort of like it's a possibility, but it has maybe a low chance of being right. The sort of most common interpretation is that you're increasing 120 by 20%, and then you're decreasing that amount by 10%. Okay, so now you're decreasing it by more than 10% of 120, because the 10% of 120 plus 20%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess the way it's worded, you could even think, well, it's increased by 20%, like as if like you had like some price tag and it's marked up by 20%. And then later you decided to cancel that markup, and then you decided to decrease it by 10%. And then you actually have the possibility that the final amount is even lower than the original amount.
Yeah.
Because you're decreasing it by 10% overall without worrying about increasing by 10 to 20%. But if it was a multiple choice question, it would eliminate that possibility. Okay, so usually it's a toss up between the possibility of increasing $120 by 20% and then decreasing it by 10% of the increased amount, or decreasing it from the original amount. Okay, and so and usually people would consider the first one to be right and the other one to be sort of like so it's a little bit of a trick question, okay?
Yeah.
And the question isn't completely right.
Yes.
But if you're not aware of both interpretations, then you're sort of setting yourself up to be wrong, okay? And so it's kind of, the question rewards people that are aware of both interpretations. And maybe they're also it rewards people who are just maybe a little bit lucky that they naturally just take this first interpretation when they do the question.
Yeah.
Okay.